Welcome to my show. My name is Marcell Johnson, and this is the VENMO Experience.
Hey man, my bro be cutting up. Like, y'all have no idea. This dude is super funny.
We were dancing a little bit on that dance floor at that wedding. What was that, a week ago, maybe?
Yeah.
Only?
Oh yeah, we did.
That was super
wedding.
recent.
And
It feels forever ago, but that was actually like
2 weeks ago?
maybe 2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, it was turned. Okay, my bad,
Good
y'all.
time.
Okay, first of all, welcome to the Freedom Experience. My name is Marcell Johnson. I thank you so much for tuning in. I ask that you would comment, like, subscribe, and share it with your people because they need to hear this. But I have somebody with me who is a funny guy, but super intellectual, super smart. You know what I mean? His name is Blaise. That's what I call him. And basically, man, he does so many different things. I'm gonna let him explain and tell you guys his title because it's excellent. Go ahead.
My
bro.
title, geez, wow. Well, that's a heck of an intro. So my name's Blaise. I run a software marketing company here in Pittsburgh.
Come on.
We're actually going to be expanding. I'm moving to Tampa pretty soon, open an office down there.
In Houston.
And Houston also. And I came out to Pittsburgh to go to school at Pitt for computer engineering.
Yep.
Ended up staying out here with the company. Met this guy here. Geez, what's that? Was maybe 5-6 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
Feels like
A
forever.
minute.
Wow.
I know, right?
But yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'm a Catholic Christian. I'm a big into my family's probably all my best friends really are my family, even though, sorry, I hate to say it, but you're my family. What am I
what's
saying?
up?
Yeah,
What's up with that,
my family's
bro?
just getting bigger. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, we're expanding.
No, but yeah, first and foremost, that's me, I think.
Yeah, so, you know what I mean, he's so smart, and I think he did a good job, but he's intelligent. He does so much coding and software development. He's like the genius behind the software development program called Upcode. One of my friends, his name is Chris. He'll be on the show too. We kind of work all together, and we do a lot of stuff. So besides this, I kind of do some stuff with them too. That's how Blaise is affiliated with me. But I wanted y'all to get into Blaise's testimony and just like some things about him because he's funny on the surface and stuff like that, but he's really deep, intellectual, and he has a powerful way of communicating that transforms lives. So, bro, I wanted to first talk about, first of all, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
Because I know you're smart, you do a bunch of stuff. He's like, busy, but you took time to come on the show, and I appreciate that, and I can't wait for the people to kind of get to know you a little bit better. So you said you came to Pittsburgh. If you don't know, the show is live from Pittsburgh, and you came from Pittsburgh coming from where? Where did you grow up? And kind of tell me a little bit about your upbringing, where you're from, what type of experiences you had.
Yeah, so I grew up in eastern PA, Westchester, PA,
Okay.
about 20-30 minutes outside of Philly. And
Philly.
let's go Philly. Go Birds. But yeah, so I grew up in a Catholic family, one of 6 kids.
Okay.
You know, boy, girl.
Right.
And I'm the fifth. And
Fifth
of 6, yeah.
Wow.
Got one
so
younger
a lot
sister.
of siblings, a big family.
Yeah, I mean today's standards. It doesn't seem that big to me because my dad's one of 16 kids. So like we have 69 first cousins on that side.
That is a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Somebody was in the room getting it.
So let me put it this way. There was there was a period in my dad's mom's life where she had spent more time pregnant than not pregnant.
Wow. Like pregnant every year.
Basically, yeah.
But
like,
the blessing
of her, yeah.
Because now you probably got kids and family.
Yeah,
expanded.
it's awesome because there's great grandkids now. When I'm talking about relocating outside of Pittsburgh,
right?
If I go on vacation anywhere based in the U.S. at least, I can always kind of think. I went to Chicago not like maybe a year or so ago.
Okay.
And the first thing I did was, okay, who do I know there? Oh, I have a cousin there and his wife and their 2 kids. Yeah, my cousin
like he
Sean.
has family everywhere.
Basically, I mean So when I go down to Tampa, I got my brother down there. I got an uncle on my mom's side, and 20 minutes or an hour and a half away in Orlando, I got a cousin down there.
So I know who I'm going to go vacation with. I'm just going to hit bro.
Just
like
hit the
bro,
hot spots.
Who's the hot spots? Who's down here? So I wanted to ask you because you're one of 6, one of 6. You probably felt like not left out, but you can seem overlooked at times.
As the younger side of that,
yeah. So tell me a little bit how that felt and then how you dealt with it, because there might be a kid watching that feels like I've always was the outcast, overlooked, and then how do they deal with that and kind of get, you know what I mean, their right position in their family dynamic?
Yeah, no, definitely. So, I mean, you definitely, when you're on the younger side, you get that little bit of overlooked a little bit.
Yep.
Our family is a little bit weird because every single possible thing is a competition. Everything. Like, I still remember.
It explains this
I still
guy.
remember what my SAT scores were because they were just a little bit higher than my brother's, who was the highest in the family before me. Stuff like that. I'm sure everybody else probably forgot at this point, but like,
Facts.
no, I mean, I think it's, you know, you don't need to be the best to kind of stand out. You know, I think that's where kind of trying to get like a little bit funnier and stuff like that, trying to maybe study a little bit more. Yeah.
Gets developed because you got to get that attention. Did you feel loved though equally?
Big time.
You still felt loved?
I think you know, there's probably ways that it was a little bit easier for me and ways it was a little harder for me than like my older siblings and whatnot. But you know, my parents were just so like for example, my mom basically, my dad started a business when I was, I think, like 5 or 6 or something like that. I was pretty young. He started a travel agency.
Right.
So my mom at that point was working 2 jobs to put all 6 kids through private school, because that was like, you know, I didn't have cable until I was a senior in high school or in college, basically.
I had private school too. So
that was like priority though. So they were kind of the type of people. It was a different generation, but they were kind of the type of people that were like, our kids are going to go to college. That's going to happen.
Like they push success
at any cost. Maybe not any cost, but that's a priority.
If somebody's having kids right now or they have a big family, what would you say to a parent that maybe needs to show, like they show favoritism towards their girl or towards their boy, or you know what I mean? How would you speak and tell the parent, like, make sure you're paying attention to all your kids and equally distributing that love the way your mom and dad did?
I think it's, you know, they did a pretty good job of, my mom was kind of always, my mom was a big affirmer, and my dad was a big disciplinarian. It was kind of, the dynamic was, it sounds traditional, but it's exactly what it needed to be, it seemed like. I mean, I know a lot of people that kind of have followed through that same role too.
Right.
Seems, you know, unless it's like way too extreme one way or the other, it actually kind of seems like a pretty solid formula.
I think that's so important, and I like to pull that out because we as people, especially kids, and if you're a parent, check this out, and if you're a kid, check this out too. You need to be affirmed. I had somebody on the show, one of my good friends, her name's Sierra, and she spoke about her affirmations, and she spoke about the things that she looks in the mirror and says to herself. So even if your parents didn't give that to you, sometimes you have to affirm yourself. And in his case, his mom was a big affirmer, and his dad did the discipline. That's a great combination because it's like you're getting the love and the affirmation, but you're also getting the correction.
And she could also pull the card of, you know, wait till dad gets home. You know, she didn't have to actually do too much crazy.
Yeah, she was able to pass that on.
If you don't go to your room, wait till dad gets home.
What would you say to a single parent?
Oh, geez, that
has to do both.
You kind of have to do both. I mean, it's obviously loving involved discipline and support, you know, and affirmation.
Right.
So, you know, one of the things that my dad, I was overhearing my dad talking to my oldest brother recently about some parenting tips, basically.
Okay.
One of the ones that really freaking jumped out to me was, he said, when you have kids, whatever you tolerate, you encourage. So
stop. Say that again.
When you have kids, with your children.
With your kids.
Whatever you tolerate, you encourage.
Because you're not saying anything or correcting it. So
if they're acting up,
right.
Even if it's a little thing, if you don't stop it or say something, you know, if you tolerate it,
right,
they're gonna keep thinking, okay, this is okay. Yeah, this is fine.
Wow. I just know my personal life, my mom and dad kind of let me do a lot of things, and I feel like they tolerated it out of just like, I'll let you grow. And that was I mean, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it now, but in the process, that's not the best parenting. And a lot of that, they had to go back and kind of fix those things in our dynamic. But I wanted to talk about...
if you think about any of your friends or anybody you knew growing up where their parents were like the place to go.
The cool kids.
Yeah, but you kind of see the negative repercussions of that kind of stuff. It was always kind of cool knowing people like that. But
it was. It's like I had friends whose moms let us come over and chill, but then that mom and that friend ends up in a bad situation, whereas the other kids who were more disciplined and had more structure became a lot more successful. So you want to pay attention to that.
It's the balance, you know?
Yeah,
because there's a couple, you know, there's always a couple weirdos at school where they're just, everything is freaking locked down. You can't do anything.
Yeah, don't be too strict on the kids and don't allow too much, or strict on yourself. Do some stuff that frees you. But I wanted to talk about, because one thing that always encouraged me when it came to Blaise is that Blaise had cancer.
Yeah.
That was such a big thing that kind of opened my eyes to the depths and the deeper parts of him.
The reason I'm in Pittsburgh.
The reason he's in Pittsburgh, so he had cancer and he was able to overcome it and come out of it and find freedom. So that's the reason why I wanted him to share a little bit about how cancer affects you negatively and then how it changed your perspective and gave you a freedom mindset.
Yeah, no, that whole story is kind of all over the place. So basically, when I was, so in September 15th, 2011, I was moving into Drexel. I was going to go to Drexel University to be a freaking math major, I guess.
College.
Yeah. It was in Center City, Philly. And the day my mom dropped me off there,
Right.
you know, I basically just got my dorm set up and stuff like that.
Right.
And I had been to the doctor maybe a week or two prior because I think I had mono that summer or something like that. And
Mono? What was you doing to catch mono? Yeah,
no, it was a false alarm, I think. Something, I don't know.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, let's tap into that because that's a part of the testimony too.
I can't go into that.
Okay, so he said we're gonna skip that, but he thought it
was from a cup, I think. It was definitely.
Okay, yeah, from a cup. We're gonna go with that. But you didn't have it.
No. So I had it, but like they wanted to make sure that we're just not gonna go into it, but
we're not.
So they wanted to make sure it was kind of all cleared up before I went to live in a dorm and stuff like that.
Right. That's smart.
So the doctor looked at the blood work, pediatrician. I was 18 at the time. I had just turned 18 on August 1st,
Right.
so this was September 15th, and
A month later.
Yeah, a month and a half basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they, the doctor was like, "This don't want to alarm you, but something looks a little bit funny. Children's Hospital Philadelphia is right down the road. Why don't you just go get a second opinion? It's probably nothing.
Right.
You just go. Just something looks a little weird. Just go get it checked out."
Second opinion.
Yeah. So we went down. My mom kind of. I hear this part later, but my mom calls my dad in tears, and my dad picks up the phone. Like, Kate, this is our 5th child that's going to college. You can't cry for this one. I'm not crying because he's in college. I'm crying because the doctor just called me.
Because the doctor.
Yeah. But
wow.
So she comes back. I hadn't even spent a day in the dorm yet. She picks me up, tells me that the doctor said there's probably nothing. Go get second opinion, blood work and stuff like that.
Right.
I was at that. I was sitting in a room there it was 9 hours. I counted.
Dang.
I just was so freaking upset.
This was after the news or before the
news?
No,
I was upset. This is before the news. I was like TO'd. I was. Why are they keeping me here this long? There's no reason for me to be here this long.
Because they make you wait. The anticipation is
because they want to be sure. They're not going
Right.
to tell you this kind of news unless they know.
So when they came and told you the news, how did you feel?
The way they came back, I forget the woman doctor's name, but she came back and she said, I hate to say this, but you're probably going to be staying here overnight. Wow. And
wow.
Then they they told me it was ALL leukemia. They found some nucleoblasts in the blood cells, like misformed white blood cells, basically. And but they were going to do a bone marrow test the next day to confirm everything because that's the only way to be 100% sure, I guess.
Okay.
So quick shout out to anybody who's ever donated bone marrow or anything like that before.
Shout out. It's important.
Not only is it important, but it is I don't want to dissuade anybody either, but it's freaking painful to get that because they went the pelvis. Dang. They had to drill a hole through the bone. I mean, I was under for the whole thing.
I worked in the hospital, so those type of things are intense. Those are real surgeries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was obviously under for the whole thing, but of the entire experience, that was probably top 5 worst pains was waking up the next day after that test.
Wow. So they took the test and it came out that you did have leukemia.
Yeah. So I ended up staying there for 28 days.
A month in the hospital.
Yeah. Didn't even spend overnight at the dorm.
Wow. Never even spent overnight at the dorm. And when I worked in the hospital, a lot of people feel lonely. So if you're watching this and you're in a hospital, you're not alone, and reach out to people too. You know what I mean? And if you have family in the hospital, go see them, go check on them.
Definitely.
Because a lot of times that literally helps them. You know what I mean? Me working in the hospital, I was able to see how somebody's family changed the dynamic. Like they got better because they had visitors compared to other people who were left alone. They kind of depleted or became defeated. You know what I mean? So,
and I know for sure, like I'm way on the blessed side of that because I had, my
family.
Well, my mom, luckily at that point at least, she was able to arrange her job, so she was kind of a work at home. So as long as she had her laptop with her, she was good.
Blessing. She
was hanging out with me all the time. My sister was going to the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. And
a doctor, right?
Yeah, my older sister's a doctor. I have 2 doctors and one that is about to be a doctor.
See? I told you, his whole family's smart. Like, come on, guys. Let me ask you this question, though. So
wait, but let me go back to your point, though, because you're talking about family. Because I had sister. I had a sister that was going to law school at Temple. and my younger sister was going to school right next door to where I went to school in Delaware. I went to school in Louisiana. She's going to Padua.
Right there.
So basically, my mom and all three sisters and my dad were regularly there. The other thing that was weird, I don't think I even told you this part. At that time, my brother actually had joined the army and was deployed to Afghanistan about. The news came, the news that he was going to get deployed was right before I got sick. And then about a couple weeks into when I got sick is when he actually got deployed.
That was when it was going down too.
Big time. Well, I think we always kind of joke he thought he was going to get all the sympathy points, but I snuck in there and stole it all.
Still, he found a way to make everything funny. So I wanted to ask you this though. This is the question I wanted to say. If you could talk to anybody who's just been diagnosed with cancer or has a loved one with cancer, what would you say to them as far as encouraging them to kind of hold on?
I think you kind of get tempted, in my experience at least, you kind of get tempted to be a little sedentary, to kind of stay in your bed, to not move around, to not be, to not want to see people and things like that.
Wow.
I don't know. If you're in a spot where it's a bad spot to be in if you don't have people visiting you. So that's why you were saying, if you have family, if you have friends that are in the hospital, go visit them.
Right.
But yeah, one of the weirdest things when you're sick is if you let yourself be sitting in a bed for too long, which is kind of what I did. Right. When you end up getting out, it's hard to walk and run and stuff like that.
So get up and
walk around. Even if you're not running, just go walk around. You don't need to work out, but at least walk around and stuff
moving.
Like that. I mean, even I remember watching videos of James Conner doing actual push-ups and weightlifting and stuff like that while he was sick.
Cancer.
But I mean, I thinking back on it, I'm like, why didn't I do that? That would have made more. It would have been a waste of time almost.
Right, but everybody doesn't have the strength to get it, so it's just
but you don't need to be doing backflips to be.
Do something.
Do something.
So he said, get around family and friends and do something that'll encourage you. Don't just become so, downcast.
Don't just sit there watching TV all day. Don't keep playing video games all day.
Get up.
It's kind of what you would think. A lot of times if you think, if you didn't have financial stuff to worry about, just in general, what would you do with your time?
Right.
A lot of people think, I'd be able to watch TV and play video games all the time. I wouldn't be doing anything. I'd just be on vacation all the time.
Right.
That's not when you're sick. You're not really on vacation, but you are sort of in that space of what would you do if you had unlimited time.
Wow, I didn't ever think about that. You kind of feel like you're like.
You feel a little. It's like being. It's like
a time out.
It's like being on vacation in a room where you feel sick.
Wow. So whenever you had the cancer, you went home and you were going through the process. This story always amazes me. There was a rose that I believe his mom planted, and it stayed alive the whole time.
No, it wasn't even planted. No,
it was just there. But it was like God's way of telling him it was a triumphant moment with the rose.
So so when I first got diagnosed, outside my parents' house. To right outside the front door to the left, there's this little garden with a shrine to Mary in front of it. Jesus' mother. Heard of her?
Yeah, Mary.
and my mom. So there's in the Catholic tradition, there's we were kind of talking about this before a little bit about how when you're praying to saints or Mary, something like that,
right.
We're not worshiping them. We're saying, hey, can you pray to God? You're already in heaven. Hey, people that are already in heaven. James 5:16 says the prayers of the righteous are more powerful. Who's more righteous than people that are in heaven?
Right.
And it's also if you're sick and you say, hey, members of my church, can you pray for my mom? She's sick or something like that. It's not weird to ask for other people's prayers. And it's if you're asking righteous people for their prayers. I don't know, a bit of a tangent.
So, no, it's okay because we're going to talk about the rose, but just a second. Blaise is a Catholic and he's a Christian, and Christians are Catholics, and some of the Catholics can be Christians.
Other way around.
Other way around. So there's Christians, Catholics, and then there's non-Catholic Christians.
Yeah.
So everybody's a Christian, but some people are Catholics. Almost like a denomination, but a little bit different. I grew up in a private school that was a Catholic school. So I understood the traditions of Catholics, and I understood they still worshiped Jesus. They still worshiped God. Their tradition and their tradition and the things that they did were more foundational, and that's the reason why we kind of lost that aspect of it whenever you got into more of a freedom-based place when it came to Christianity. However, whenever people are praying, because me and Blaise talked about this, when he talks to Mary or when he's praying to the saints, there's a Bible verse that says there's a cloud of witnesses that are telling you to run your race and they're encouraging you. So Blaise's outlook, just for anybody who's a Christian who doesn't understand Catholics, is like, I'm talking to my mother Mary, I'm talking to Joseph. These are my brothers, my sisters in Christ, and I'm talking to them on the behalf of Jesus Christ, asking them to keep praying for me, keep standing in the gap, keep standing in agreement with me to do the will of God. And then, of course, he worships God. Of course, he worshiped Jesus Christ. So I know that there's always some contingent, like some conflict of interest and some different things that happen with that. But I understand it. And just to clarify, everybody's worshiping God. You know what I mean?
Exclusively, yeah.
Scott, just to clarify that up, because sometimes Christians and Catholics can get into it because there's a lot of different things. Everybody does evil things, whether you're a Christian Catholic or just a Christian. But I want us to kind of bridge that gap and realize we're all family. When we get to heaven, there's not going to be the Catholics over here, this one's over here. It's going to be everybody together worshiping God. That's the message.
And we can dive more into that later. But
that's another show. But I wanted to just say really quickly how the rose affected you in your testimony.
So basically, it's just kind of jump back into that story, basically. So when my mom started, it was basically a 54-day, what it normally is a 54-day devotional, where we're using mostly scripture verses to offer prayers saying, hey, Mary, can you help with this?
Okay.
Or can you help pray for this? And she was offering one, obviously, her son was sick. So
she was praying. Okay.
Yeah. But so I found out, like I said, I was at the hospital for the first little bit of that.
Right.
But I found out when I got back, there was this beautiful little rose right in front of that shrine to Mary.
Wow.
It was like dark red. It was about this big. And I didn't really think much of it. I kind of just thought, hey, it's a rose. It's just a rose. It's a garden anyway. It was it was mostly mulch or whatever, like wood chips and stuff, whatever.
Right.
And those dark ones. And there weren't too many flowers. It was like those green things, but that was the only really flower that was in that area.
Wow.
It kind of stood out a little bit. But one of the things that always kind of jumped out to me was, for the next 3 years, that thing was always like day, night, rain, snow. Like we have
all seasons.
I need to find. I'll send you the picture of it. We have a picture of it sticking out of the snow.
Maybe we'll put it in this video so you guys can see it. 3 years, all seasons, the rose stayed alive. And it was almost like God telling you, you're going to stay alive. You're going to overcome this. You're going to get out of this situation. Yeah. That's amazing.
I mean, I hope that's what it meant.
Yeah. But do you feel like you have a relationship with a rose in a different way now? Like you kind of see it more symbolic to something that other people might overlook?
I think in a way a little bit. I'd say it definitely strengthened my relationship to Mary for sure.
Yeah.
Like that was something, our job as Christians is to model ourselves after Jesus.
Right.
And, Jesus proved that multiple times in the Bible, but especially at the wedding at Cana, that he respected Mary above a lot of other people.
Right.
And if I'm going to model myself after Jesus, that means respecting Mary. And
right.
That's something that kind of just really narrowed that.
He's advocating. Yeah, he's advocating.
But that's something that definitely ran.
But that whole experience brought you freedom and transformation. And it brought you to a new way of living to respect and appreciate life.
It definitely did. I got to say it did take a little bit of time because, I mean, like, in all reality, I'll be honest, I did go to college right after. And it wasn't, I would still go to church every week and things like that. Yeah. But I wasn't necessarily, like, I would say I was, for lack of a better phrase, I was kind of going through the motions more than anything else.
Right.
As much as embarrassing as that is to admit, honestly, but
it's okay. It's real. We keep it real.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, but so I at some point at the end in college, I ended up having a bit of a falling away, but still kind of going through the motions. But at the end of the day, I mean, once I started diving into the intellectual side of Christianity, I was just completely sold. It was mind-blowing how much the more you try to prove it wrong, the more you find out how true it is. It's crazy. Right,
and it's right. The more you try to prove it wrong, the more it comes out to be truth. So how would you say your relationship with God, your relationship with Jesus Christ has transformed you and allowed for you to become a better person?
I would definitely say that I'm definitely a better person. I mean, I was just talking with somebody about this recently, about how you're one of the, I think a good example of what you should do for your own salvation and your own soul is what they say on the plane when they're talking about the oxygen mask. What do they say to do? Put it on yourself first.
Come on.
And then put it on your kids and the people that need it.
Come on.
So if you're somebody who wants to save souls, if you want to bring people to Christ
first,
you need to kind of get yourself in order and your relationship with Christ in order first.
Man, I love that.
Yeah.
What was you going to say? Were you going to say something else?
Yeah, I mean, I was just, I mean, not
the premise
that,
of
that
it.
was kind of the
And
premise of it.
that's so important too, because a lot of people want to help their kids and help their family, but at the end of the day, help yourself first. And through you helping yourself, you will automatically give off that energy, that love, that knowledge that'll transform the people around you.
Yeah.
But bro, first of all, I want to thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for being a part of it. And you know, I always like to end my show with words of wisdom. So if you can tell them something that, like, as a mantra, something that you stand by, that's your words of wisdom, what would it be?
One of the things I just learned recently is somebody asked St. Thomas, the great Christian philosopher,
Okay.
what does it take to become a saint? And to which he is said to have responded, desire it. If you want to get to heaven, you need to actually want it. If you're sinning and you're not acting right, you don't have a good relationship with Christ.
Right.
It's just desiring it. That's the first step. That's how you get there. You obviously you need to get your desires right to get your relationship right. And that doesn't work. It's not just with God. That's with anybody.
Right. If anything, and I love that because it's like what you desire is what you will actually attract. So it's like you're desiring a closer relationship with God. You're desiring to become a closer version of Jesus Christ, or just desiring for your life to change. It's like act on it. Your desire. I love that. Well, you know, mans, I'll always tell y'all, man, and sometimes I be messing it up because I be so excited to say it, but it's time. Find freedom. It's time.
Find God.
Let's go. Thank y'all, man. I love y'all. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.
See ya.
The freedom experience.